Thanks for being here this afternoon. And today we're pleased to welcome Dr. T, a very special guest from Minneapolis. Dr. T was born in Jerusalem, Israel. He has 2 doctorate degrees, one in chiropractic and the other one in general medicine. Dr. T's specialties is in health, medicine, nutrition, and sustainability. Dr. T has been traveling extensively, offering medical care and studying nutrition practices around the world. In the West, we are dealing with all kinds of stress, mostly related to work. Even Google being the best company to work for in 2014, according to the Fortune magazine, we still feel the stress with a smiley face, and even at Google. On the other hand, the people in Nepal, they have different type of stress in life, and that's what I call everyday life stress. And for example, they have one of the slowest internet service in the world, and the internet was introduced to Nepal in 1994. And even as of today, yes, the internet speed is the second slowest in the world, just behind Libya. And then the second problem they have is, on average, most people only get about 9 to 12 hours of electricity per day. So you can imagine living in that type of an environment. And even with all these challenges in life, but the people in Nepal are still pretty happy and extremely friendly. And you can find in their greeting tradition, for example, they do not shake hands or hug. What they would do is they close their palm and then bow their head and say, Namaste. So today, we're lucky to have Dr. T to share his travel experience in Nepal, and then what we can learn from these people about the health and also the stress issue. And then with that, I would like to welcome Dr. T to Google.
Thank you. I know that you're here for many reasons. Some of you are here because you want to know about stress, and some are here because you want to know about the Himalayas, and some want to know about the skin, and some want to know about vitality. So how do we weave all those things together in just a short talk? Normally each one of them can be a 2 or 3 hour discussion. So we have to be a little more concise and be rapid in our presentation. And we need to realize what's truly important in life. What is it that makes people really stressed? Why are we stressed? Because we take on more than we can handle. Because we have a lot of expectations that are put upon us or that we decide to adopt. Because we want to excel, because we want to get appreciation. Because today people would love us for what we manufacture, what we produce. So we have to get results. We are very result-oriented in our society. And if we don't perform according to expectation, there's stress. Even if we have the best food in the world and the places to get suntan, it's not enough. So we need to start thinking about what's really important to engage in and to adapt above and beyond the day-to-day routine of taking more and more responsibilities upon ourselves, which is the main cause for stress in people who are productive and young and relatively healthy. Of course, when you have stress, you have the physiological and the psychological consequences. Many people have back problems and insomnia. Many people have stomach upset and headaches. A lot of people have palpitation, anxiety attack. A lot of young people that I see are suffering from mood disorders. They simply can't handle the pressure of the daily life. And that's not their fault. It's the fault of our physiology. We're not made for that. We are hardwired in our brain to handle quick and severe or extensive stress that then abates and disappears. That's what we are designed to have in nature. And we all came from nature, like it or not. We came from a place where we had severe risk of death instantly, and then 10 minutes later that risk passes away, and if we survived it, we can relax. Today we don't have that opportunity. If the stress lasts too long and it is too severe, the results are extreme. They've done studies with mice, and they saw that when the mice are under severe stress for too long, after just several hours of extreme threat, those mice had 3 severe anatomical changes. Involution of the reticuloendothelial system, meaning everything shrinks in the immune system organs like the thymus, shrinks rapidly, and you can see it. The adrenal glands, which are associated with stress, with the output of stress hormones, start swelling, and you see it rapidly, visibly. Anatomical growth, hypertrophy of the adrenals. And the last of the visible signs is wounds and open sores and bleeding ulcers in the digestive system. Now this is visible. Imagine what is not visible. Imagine all the little things, the changes that happen in the body with our circulation, with our hormones, with our neurology. All those things that happen that are not visible in mice within just a few hours of severe stress. And this is what we are enduring in our society because our stress is interminable. It continues, unabated. We don't know where to shut it down because our responsibilities and the tasks we have to engage in on a daily basis don't end. On the contrary, we keep adding on and on and on because we want to excel, we want to get respect and appreciation from the jobs, from the peers, from our friends, from our family. Everybody expects something out of us. We just don't know where to let go and how to let go. So we go to all of those methods of stress management because we have those symptoms. We can't sleep at night. We need stimulants to stay up during the day because we're so tired when we wake up, if we wake up from a night of no sleep. If you need to drink coffee or take any stimulants to feel like you can go through the day, you're not getting enough sleep or poor quality of sleep. And most people today need stimulants every day, whether it's caffeine, coffee, chocolate, or other such stimulants. What are they doing? They're pressing on the gas pedal when the tank is empty. They're forcing us into the stimulation that resembles a stress response, which tells us that we have a little more energy. Our blood supply is slightly richer in glucose, so we can bring more energy to the muscles for the fight or flight that doesn't exist. And that is the stimulant that we always take, thinking it's good for us because it makes us feel high. But it's only necessary because without it, we plummet, and we get tired, we crash throughout each day. Sounds familiar to some of you, doesn't it? That is not where you want to be, because over time, all of these conditions associated with the physiological and emotional stress are going to simply make you either fat or tired, chronically fatigued, or having chronically suppressed immune system, resulting in cancer. People always go through these 3 phases of general adaptation syndrome. The first phase is just being under stress but not knowing it. The second is having the stress and having those symptoms of fatigue and aches and pains and digestive complaints, etc. The third phase is when there is complete systematic breakdown. The adrenals are overwhelmed. They cannot create more of this hormonal output of stress. At that point, people either develop chronic fatigue syndrome or fibromyalgia, they become bedridden, they totally lose their functionality, or they have other severe chronic condition, or they get cancer. That's the third phase. Most people today who are under significant stress are already high on the second phase of this general adaptation syndrome, also known as GAS. And they are very dangerously close to phase 3. I see today a lot of young people in their 20s and 30s who already are coming into phase 3 and wondering where it came from, not realizing how much of it is related to the stress that they're suffering from. And this is the stress that is typical in affluent countries. We are all suffering from affluenza. And we really want to change that. We want to start moving towards simplicity. It's not always easy when we have everything available right in front of us to just pick and choose. Sometimes too many choices is a stressful thing. You want to just be told, do this. You don't want to know too much information. Just give me what I need. But you have too many options. That is a stress. Because you want to live life to the fullest. You want to experience everything. Well, people in other countries don't have that opportunity. People in Nepal are always having very few options to eat, to see. They never travel much. They never go on an airplane. They can't afford it. So they stay in one village in remote rural Nepal, and they never get out of that environment. Maybe once or twice a year, they would travel all the way to Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal. And that's about it. Those people are always seeing the same trees, the same houses, the same mountains. They wake up, everything is predictable. Now you would say, and you'd be correct, is predictability always a good thing? Is nature predictable? And you'd be right to ask that, because the answer is no. And I've never said that their life is perfect out there in Nepal. They have a lot of their own challenges. But their existence appears to you to be predictable. In reality, it is not. They have constant change in their life. Every day brings numerous unpredictable events. They never know if the food will be good, if there will be food. They never know who they're going to meet coming to visit their village. They have a lot of changes in their environment, not just with the seasons, but with survival. Every time they walk on the trail, something happens. They might have to confront a mule or a cow or a water buffalo that might push them off the trail. Or they may just have a landslide that will take down a whole village, and they will have to somehow make do. They're always in a survival mode without even knowing it. But it's a different type of survival mode. It's the kind that brings change continuously, where change is expected, where the unpredictable is expected. Therefore, it is not so stressful when you see new things. Let's contrast that with Americans who are accustomed to their routine. Every day they have to get in their car, drive, go from 9 to 5, drive back, stop on the way in the coffee shop, go to get some bagels. Those people are doing exactly the same thing every day. They are creatures of habit. But as soon as something happens that is different, they can't handle the stress. They go berserk. So they need to drink alcohol or take some pot, smoke some pot to feel more relaxed, because they can't handle change. In nature, we have to handle change, because from every bush might be an animal jumping at us. Under every tree, or every time we have to run away, we have to be prepared, have to be alert all the time. When you get used to that constant change, you stop being stressed. So this is one thing I like to teach people, to keep making your life varied. Increase variety, complexity in your life. Allow things not to be simple while you live a simpler lifestyle. Sounds like a contradiction, but it's the truth. Simplify your life in what you take on, but increase the variety so that you are accustomed to the unpredictable. Go outdoors into nature. Many people will tell you that to reduce stress, you have to either meditate or do mindfulness or hypnotherapy or guided imagery or Tai Chi. There are so many techniques that are being told to you that are great to manage your stress. They don't treat the underlying cause of stress, but they help you manage it. And they're good. But one thing on the list is go to nature. Learn from nature. Your body physiologically is adapted through tens of thousands of years and hundreds of thousands of years to the natural environment from which we came. Eat according to nature. Because anytime you have a slight disorder, anytime you have a slight nutritional deficiency, anytime you're exposed to toxins, all of those are related to our departure from what's natural. We need to try to correct that. And in nature, we have extreme variety of foods that are made by nature that we would have had in nature in their natural, pristine state. Today, how much variety do we have in food? You can go to all of Google cafeterias. You will still not have more than 50 foods covering just about the whole gamut. 50 vegetables and spices and grains and legumes and a few other things. Not that much, but if you go foraging in nature, as our predecessors did, our ancestors foraged all the time before agricultural age, you would have unlimited number of foods to choose from all the time. And you would have the unpredictability of what will be available, which keeps you on your toes in a healthy way, keeps you excited about life. So please bring variety into your life, and please go to nature to learn from her, and not just to use her as a shelter from stress. And if you do go into nature, then you'll start learning other things, because you will see the different animals and peoples that co-inhabit that natural environment, and you see what they do and what they don't do. That is true for learning from other people. What do they do? What do they not do? And what makes them healthier than us is always an important question. You know that 79 million Americans have prediabetes. That's a huge number. You know that hundreds of thousands of children are being diagnosed before age 10, diagnosed with cancer. Pediatric cancer is a fast-growing trend, and most hospitals are building special wings for childhood cancer. And we have 1 out of 3 or 4 children on drugs or diagnosed with a disease. And almost all the children today have some allergies or asthma or autoimmune disease or immune suppression condition that were never the lot of children. So many children are diagnosed with learning disorders and autism and other conditions that didn't used to be so popular. Once it was 1 in 10,000 children, not too long ago, a few decades. And now 1 out of 49 children are diagnosed as having autism. What's happening to the next generation? Many of you are going to have children if you don't have them already. What's happening to our children that makes them suddenly the sickest children have ever been? Shouldn't we learn something about what is happening in other countries to compare and contrast and see what we can learn to save a whole generation of children in this country? How do we do that? How do we learn about the health of our children when they are all exposed to the same factors such that we don't have a control group? If we want to do a scientific study, we can't. We have to go somewhere else where the children have not been exposed to what children here have been exposed to. There have been studies with children who have moved from one country to another, and they saw clearly that children who moved to an affluent Western nation from a more primitive, more developing nation, the earlier they moved to the newer place, the newer residence, the more they adopted the same diseases and disorders, including mental diseases, of the new adaptive country that they have joined. That is a very important observation. So if a child comes to the United States from Ethiopia when he or she is only 6 years old, they're going to be a lot healthier than the local kids because they had 6 years in a primitive environment. But if they come here at age 2, or at age 1, or worse yet, at age 6 months, they develop all the medical and mental and behavioral conditions that are typical in the modern country that they've joined. Shouldn't we try to ask ourselves a question, why is that the case? What are we doing to children that makes them so sick? How do we study that when in our country, all the children are exposed to the same things? So if we ask ourselves, is it because they're exposed to too many electromagnetic radiation sources? Is it because they had too many vaccines? Is it because they eat genetically modified organisms? Is it because of something else? Too much stress, perhaps? They know when they are 2 years old that one day they will work in Google. They already are stressed out. Who knows? We don't have the answers. But the only way to find out is to start asking the questions and doing some studies. For that, we need a control group. It just so happened that you can create a control group in a place that is far away from the United States. A place that is so pristine and so primitive, so underdeveloped, that most of the young children have not been exposed to what our children have been exposed to. If we can have a good number of children that we could study how healthy they really are, how lacking they are in mental and behavioral disorders when they go to school, how easy it is to teach them, how excited they are to go to school and they are beautifully behaved. They always are excited to study, to learn new things. When you see those children and you fall in love with them, you think, what a great thing we can do to impart some of their health to other people in developing countries who are suffering from all those modern diseases of children that have never been a part of our life until just the last few decades. Instead of just worrying about it and getting more and more hospitals to build more and more cancer wings, shouldn't we find the causes and treat them, or avoid them, or prevent them? Preventive medicine is not so heroic, but it's exactly the same as preventing suffering in children in Nepal. Because while we create a control group of thousands and thousands of children that can show us the way, can guide us into the light of health and vitality, at the same time, we can help them avoid the horrific tragedy of childhood trafficking. 15,000 children in Nepal alone are used in trafficking, prostitution, and slavery every year. Even now, 15,000 for a small country, that's a huge tragedy. Some of them are ending up as domestic workers and slaves, but most of them end up in India, where they're sold for prostitution or slavery. And it's because their environment is so poor, so destitute, that they have no capability of organizing. Their communities are fragmented. Their families have fallen apart, not just because of a 10-year civil war that left the country in a desperate state, but also because there are no opportunities in the rural areas of Nepal. No socioeconomic opportunity, no health care available, no educational opportunities. So the children end up in the fields all the time, and they are simple and easy to pick. And their parents are totally illiterate. So it's easy to come to a parent and say, we're going to take your child and give her a great education in India and put her in some boarding school where she will learn English and learn a vocation and have a great successful life. If you are a parent that can't offer anything to your child, you would fall for that. And that child ends up trafficked and suffering horribly for the rest of her life. That can be easily prevented with very little money. because prevention is 1,000 to 10,000 times more effective than heroic salvation after the fact. So instead of the expensive emergency room medicine, we're engaging in lifestyle, nutritional, stress reduction type of medicine, which prevents the disease at a tiny, tiny fraction of the cost. As I said, it's not heroic. It's not so attractive and sexy, because you can't pinpoint those children that you have saved from trafficking. But you make a real impact, especially if you go to those societies in those remote areas and you help them organize and you make them participate so it is more sustainable. And you help rebuild their communities and build for them a community center that could take care of their health and hygiene. And start doing adult literacy program that teaches the parents some skills on how to read and write. And organize the women in mothers groups, because the mother is really the beginning and end of the family caretaker, the educator. Take care of those in a sustainable way, and you don't need much money. For only $8.50 a month per child, I can by myself sustain 5,000 children with the Everest Learning Academy, which I really want to applaud Google, because Google now has its own matching program. So people could contribute money to the Ecopolitan EcoHealth community, which supports the Everest Learning Academy. And I have some great news. You're the first group to hear about it, that we are now finally recognized by the Nepali Social Welfare Council as an international NGO, similar to the Peace Corps, and we are just a few people, not a government. So I invite you to start thinking about things bigger than yourself. That might be the thinking person's stress relief. Start thinking about what you can do to make life better on Earth, not just for yourself, but for others. When you do that, suddenly the stress will melt away, because now you have a vision and you have a purpose. Think about it. They've done studies with people who are stressed, and they said, yes, stress will kill you. But for some reason, some people have the highest stress level and they live the longest. Studies have shown that. It's a paradox. So you have to start looking, who are those people? Because we want to be like them, right? And we find out that those who live the longest, despite severe stress, are the ones who are in charge of their own destiny. The ones who are not pushed to a 9-to-5 job, but feel like they create their own reality. They manifest their own dreams, visions, and missions. Does it mean that only people who are the bosses can live long? Not necessarily. Even people who work a 9-to-5 job can create a purpose for themselves, can become the heroes of their communities and of remote countries, can venture into new lands where they can do some good, and while doing that, they think, every day, what am I doing today that meets or gets me a step closer to that purpose? How do I make Earth a better place for me and for my children and for my friends' children and grandchildren? How do we make this a better place? If you take a purpose to your heart and start implementing on a daily basis, whatever it is, it will simply overshadow the stress of trying to simply preserve your own ego in a society that expects so much of you, where your responsibilities that you adopt are so numerous just because you need to have affirmation and acceptance from your peers and your family members. Do something that's outside of yourself, and people would leave you alone. And they will not expect much of you, because you'll be doing something good, not just for yourself, not just for your own pocket. People who just work for money have a lot of stress, because they always worry, will they have enough money to meet their next consumerism goal? What are they going to buy next that they won't use, that will rot in their garage, 3-car garage? which has 4 cars in it. What are those people going to do? Nothing. They just have to keep showing off to other people how much they have. So instead, you have various options. You can contribute to worthwhile causes. Google will match you. You work here. Or you could decide to join. You can start getting into the activism mode. We already have 5,000 children in our network of 65 projects of schools and child care centers and orphanages and community care centers, and we're growing rapidly. We need somebody to be creative and think and help us create a technological system that will allow us to collect all the data we need to collect about the health of all the children in our network. My goal is to get to 100,000 children. If you participate as creative individuals and help us find a system, a method that allows us to collect all the information that we need to truly tabulate the health, the mental, emotional, social, and physical health of our thousands and thousands of children. That would help us take better care of our children in Nepal, but it will also help us create the data that will allow us to start implementing some changes that are necessary so that the hospital will stop building those cancer wings for children, so that the pediatricians will not have to treat so many children with drugs, so that the children will not be diagnosed with autism and have to take various drugs for ADD and ADHD. That's not necessary. We just need to understand why is it that 100,000 children, God willing, if we get to 100,000 children with the support of populations that care, that have the ability to care, then we can really help the whole world, because the modern civilization is where we have more problems than we have over there as soon as they're organized, as soon as they can take care of themselves, as soon as they have schools and childcare centers so that they can get to work, as soon as they learn to read and write, we give them the opportunity to acquire skills that will make their life in rural Nepal a lot better, a lot easier. We can preserve their culture, their ethnicities. And you're welcome to visit. You can come and trek with us. In March, we have some people from Google coming to represent Google. And we will have other people coming in October. We do it twice a year. You can come and join our treks and see for yourself what we do with the children. You can volunteer, or you could just do it from your own home. Help us create a system. Let's design something that allows technology to collect the information we need to make this earth a better place. And in the meantime, we just need to support it financially. Financially, we do the support through the skin clinics, which is something that I've created many, many years ago, a way to eliminate and prevent skin cancer, which is the most common cancer there is. It is so easy to prevent melanomas, which kill tens of thousands of Americans every year. So easy. You just have to eliminate the lesions that might become cancer 5 years from now or 10 years from now. It's true prevention. If you have 100 lesions on your body, little dark spots, flat, where the sun won't shine, because be aware, melanomas, the lethal skin cancer everybody is afraid of, always develop in the places that have not been exposed to the sun. Surprising, but it's not surprising. We've known it for many years. The information you're getting from the establishment is not accurate. You have to open the textbooks yourself and find out where those melanomas occur. And you'll be surprised that they occur on the scalp under the hair, behind your neck where there's no sun exposure, on your torso, in your armpits, under your bikini lines, in the white spots that have never seen the sun. You better start mooning the sun so the sun will shine where it normally doesn't shine. Get some sun exposure in various places, but you have to do it regularly. Because if you don't, those white areas that are irregularly exposed once every 6 months, that's where you develop your melanomas. And they start from little dark spots that can gradually grow. Catch all of those dark spots, eliminate them now. It's so easy. No surgery necessary, no medical treatment necessary. You can get rid of 100 of them in just one sitting. And by doing that, with any of the doctors that I have trained in various places in the world to do this using my method, by removing those skin lesions, you prevent yourself from developing skin cancer. Also, the carcinomas are very easy to treat. That's a different type of skin cancer. Very easy to work with those type of skin lesions and catch them early. Very easy to remove protrusions and growths, which could develop as a result of hormonal imbalance or as a result of unhealthy nutrition. And remember, if you get sick because of unhealthy nutrition or lack of sleep or other types of exposures or toxic exposures, the stress that you have in your life becomes far worse. It makes every disease magnified. So you do want to eat really well according to nature. If you want to know what I mean by nature, go to the website thetruthaboutyourfood.com, where I give 12 hours of free information, 12 hours of lecture that you get for free, thetruthaboutyourfood.com. Then you learn about healthy nutrition, according to nature and according to science. You do that, you reduce your skin aging. You make sure that you have all the nutrients necessary, like sulfur, which is a crucial nutrient for the skin health and for your hair health. When you have not sufficient sulfur in your body, your hair starts falling and becomes fragile and brittle. And your skin starts aging because it loses its cytoskeletal structure that supports it and makes it plump and gives it a body, just like when you were born and had a plump face and plump skin everywhere. You want to retain that, you have to eat really food rich in antioxidants. Every meal should be rich in antioxidants. Because today you're exposed to so many toxins that they increase the free radical damage. It's not just the sun that we blame on aging. The sun is one source of free radicals in our skin. But our diet is another big source. Whenever you eat rancid fats, you damage your subcutaneous fat under the skin, and your skin ages prematurely. If you want to remove protrusions and growths that occur as a result of your diet, or if you want to improve the hormonal balance so that you don't develop tons and tons of skin tags on your neck and under your breasts and on your face, which you see a lot of people suffering from. And if you don't want to have rough spots and dark areas that are caused by excessive free radicals, you have to make changes. And then your body will be able to handle stress a lot more. You can take some adaptogenic herbs, which also help you handle stress more effectively. But again, they're not addressing the underlying problem. So I truly recommend to go back to nature, to learn from nature, to come to the Himalayas, to see what we're doing out there and get your stress level down just by being in nature and by adapting a purposeful life that would make your skin healthier, your skin lesions less likely to appear. You can easily remove them and reduce the stress of bad image problem when you look in the mirror, when you have those huge things on your nose. They can easily be removed. Don't tell me that you were born with it, therefore it's okay. Because if you're born with it, it's been on you for a longer amount of time and it's been exposed more to the element, it's even more risk. And if it's caused by the neurological imbalance that makes some of those protrusions occur, you can improve the neurological state by removing them, improving the balance of your body, your symmetry of information that comes, sensory information that comes into your brain. There are many reasons to improve the skin appearance, not just your image. Your skin is the mirror of your health. The integrity of this barrier between the inside of our body and the environment outside of us, that integrity is crucial And it tells us a lot about the integrity of your entire body, which is made of barriers. The blood-brain barrier, the digestive barrier, the cellular membrane as a barrier. All of those barriers must be healthy for you to be alive. And of course they have to be healthy in order for you to be healthy. If the skin as a barrier has lost its integrity, also other barriers which share the same type of nutrition are going to lose their integrity, and you lose your health on so many levels. Keep your integrity of the barriers, of your life, of the purpose, of the participation in making this world, this earth, a better place, and then your stress level will go down because you will learn what's really important in life. And you will truly stop sweating the small stuff that makes you worried and stressed all the time. You can do your work and be happy with the results because you know that ultimately there's something greater, something bigger that you participate in to live a much better world for future generations, so that the legacy that each one of you has is a legacy worth having for posterity, for many generations into the future. Thank you very much.
Are you working with other organizations like Seroptimus International and the UN with the children's issue? And if so, what companies? Seroptimus has been around since the 1920s, was founded in Oakland by women that weren't allowed into Rotary. And trafficking of women and girls has always been something they've worked on both internationally, nationally, and locally. They help women and children.
At the moment, we are fairly young. We've only been around for 3.5 years. And it's been so far sort of a one-man show. And I have no time really to get involved with other organizations, but I wish I did have that time, and I need more people to help me make the connection because I'm limited. I'm just one person who's seeing patients non-stop and giving lectures 250 times a year in several continents. I travel all the time and educate and teach and treat and write and travel and guide treks in Nepal. I just don't have the time or the capability or the knowledge to do this administrative important work that is connecting with other organizations that are pre-existing.
Well, I'd be happy to connect you with some folks.
Thank you. Any help is always welcome as long as it doesn't add more stuff on my table. So whoever wants to help, please help in a meaningful way that can make things really change for the better. You know, we have to activate as many people as we can to make this work. We have a wonderful staff in Nepal that made it possible to grow to 5,000 children in just 3.5 years. It's just unbelievable. It's above and beyond my wildest imagination. I had no idea that we would become suddenly an INGO, international NGO in Nepal. We can have our own office of the Ecopolitan community from the United States. We can have a full-time office now in Nepal, which we're going to dedicate this March of 2014 because of this new honor that has been bestowed upon us. So we are humbled by that, but with a lot of responsibility. We always want to be sustainable. We don't want to pluck daughters or girls or children from their society and isolate them, just to save them. We want to save the whole community by organizing it sustainably so that all the girls in a community will not be trafficked. Instead of just save 20 or 30, put them in a house, and they will never go back to their home society because they have been isolated from it. And they don't think it's appropriate for them to go back to the village. And then other girls in the village who are less fortunate end up trafficked instead. Some organizations do that. They have great intention, but we are trying to change society by organizing the communities with their own participation so that they can take pride in what they're doing. And we need help in that direction as much as we can. What we mostly need right now is money.
I have two-part question, actually. Number one is about the trek that you mentioned that happens in March and October or November, I'm not sure. So I want to learn a little bit more about that. And the second question is, being born and raised in Kathmandu, I would just like to learn a little bit about
Namaste.
how you view the stress level, the health quality, and just quality of life between people that are living in rural Nepal versus somebody that's living in the city.
Excellent question, and I often lecture about it when I have more time, differentiating what happens to the children who migrate to the city. And it's usually the young people who are looking for some opportunity, who go to Kathmandu where all the tourists are, so there's a little more money, there's more action, there are more hospitals and more educational facilities that provide greater opportunity. Unfortunately, when they go to the city, they also lose their culture. Many times the ethnicities, the beautiful Nepali culture gets dissolved into the foreigners and the pollution and the population overload that occurs in the city. And also their health starts deteriorating. They start eating more like the Westerners. They want to emulate the Westerners if they can. So they start eating a lot higher on the food chain. They start eating a lot less plants and a lot more animals, which they could never afford in rural Nepal. They start having some of the symptoms that I see with Americans. A little more belly, a little more diabetes, a little more skin disorders. They start losing their hair. I never see bald people who are truly in rural Nepal, but in the city, I see a lot of bald people. All kinds of changes happen when they increase too much their level of protein intake, especially from animal sources. And I'm not telling people that they have to be vegan. Nepalis are never vegan. Even if they live in rural Nepal, they eat animals once in a while. But very rarely can they afford it, and if they reserve it for special celebrations, special holidays, Tihar, Dashain, and other special festivals. That's when they do that. But as soon as they go to the city and they can afford it, they start partaking of the cheap flesh that comes from factory farming of animals. And that could never be healthy for them. And we see the differences in their health and in their mindset and their altitude. I did some studies with vitamin D level. And even though Kathmandu is still the city and it's polluted and populated, I've seen the highest level of vitamin D in Nepal, much higher than anything I've seen in the United States, even in Florida and in Israel, the sunny country of Israel, where 99% of people are vitamin D deficient. But in Nepal, they had a much higher, healthier level of vitamin D, even though they use sunbrellas and there are foggy times during the monsoon season and pollution, and they don't like the sun because they want to be whiter. They're afraid of becoming darker. They want to be more like the foreigners. As a result, they don't have that much sun exposure, yet they still have much higher level of vitamin D, which again is something that could be interesting for us to study. Why is that? Why are they healthier on that level? Because vitamin D protects you from 25 types of cancer, and diabetes, and obesity, cardiovascular disease. And people here are deficient. And people here take supplements, and they still have lower level of vitamin D than Nepalis who don't even know that there is such a thing called vitamin D. And they would definitely never take supplements because they can't afford them. And they don't even know what the test is because they can't afford the test. So I had to send their blood from Kathmandu to India to test their vitamin D level. It doesn't exist in Nepal. And they all have vitamin D level far, far higher than Americans do in the southernmost states of the United States. So this is another thing that needs to be questioned. We need to really do some good study using this amazing population of kind-hearted people who want to always give you everything they have to give with a smile, no matter how little they have. You could study so much from them. We inspire them just because we could travel to visit. But they can inspire us on so many other levels that help us open our heart and our mind to truly learn about our world and be happy with little consumerism, with little materialism, and learn to really enjoy what is meaningful in life. So thank you for that question. Did I answer it?
Yeah, and the second part is about the trip.
The trip. It's very simple. You go on nepali-children.org or on Check for Humanity, one of those two, and you read about it, and you send an email, and then you get information about how to join the treks. It's a 15-day trip during which you learn about Nepal. Not you, of course, because you know so much about it, but most people can learn about Nepal as if they were there for 4 months. Because during those 15 days, I guide you incessantly. You'll get tired of my accent. You'll say, shut up already. We learned enough for one day about Nepal. You will learn about health, about nutrition, about sustainability, about socioeconomic issues, about humanitarian work, and you will also learn a lot about Nepal that you can't learn in any regular trip that is on the beaten path. We go to places where tourists never go. We go to communities that are never visited. We go to areas in the countryside in the Himalayas, so you have amazing views, and you will never see another tourist. Plus, we visit during those 15 days a lot of the communities that the Ecopolitan community serves through the Everest Learning Academy. You'll meet the people. We also go to Chitwan National Park, some elephant ride in the forest and see some animals and get into a nice little resort and go into some temples so you can learn about the culture and you learn about the people. We also do our Touching the Untouchables program that I've started 2 years ago to help break the ancient caste system and the prejudice of the caste system. Even though the government of Nepal has abolished it, in the rural parts of the country, they still practice the caste system to some extent. And we try to break through that by blending the different castes together with the tourists, with the groups, in a very beautiful ceremony that allows us to share with them foods and drink and touch and massage them and hug them. And it shocks them because they're the untouchables. And they are so unexpecting when that happened. It's just an amazing thing to see. Every time we take new groups so that it's a fresh new experience with the Touching the Untouchable program, which I really hope will end this caste prejudice forever in practice as well as in law. Oh, yeah, people who are interested in joining the trek can be sponsored by other people. On the website trekforhumanity.com, there is this option, and you can get, just like people do the walkathon, the MS-a-thon, and so on, you could come there, and your coming is by itself supporting the effort, because most of the money actually goes towards the activities of the Everest Learning Academy. And so people can support you, can sponsor you. As many friends as you have can sponsor you with as much as they want, and that allows you to come and also to contribute more to Nepal and also have the matching program work with that. So it's a win-win-win for everybody, and I really want to thank Google for being on that matching program list. I have to say that also Apple and Microsoft and Oracle are all on our, and Boeing Corporation are all on our matching program for the Ecopolitan EcoHealth community. But Google has a great program, and we truly, truly thank Google for having that.
For the benefit of the audience, I think it would be great to introduce about the Himalayan high sulfur black salts that you bring in.
Thank you. I forgot about it. I did mention the sulfur earlier and how important it is for the skin health, but I forgot to continue on that idea, which is really the sulfur-rich black salt from the Himalayas. It's made in Nepal in a factory that I built in Kathmandu that basically has all of its profits supporting the children and the activities of the Everest Learning Academy. So when you eat the sulfur-rich salt, which tastes like eggs, by the way, so you add it to a vegetable salad and it tastes like an egg salad. You add it to a sandwich, it tastes like an egg sandwich. You add it to avocado and you want to melt from pleasure. You can add it to anything. It's kind of addictive because it's so tasty, but the sulfur is extremely healthy because it supports your detoxification process called sulfation and supports the structure of your skin and your hair and nails and all of those structural organs from ligaments to tendons to cartilage. They all require sulfur. So this salt comes from a very clean environment. It is exactly nothing more, nothing less than the pulverized black crystals of this special salt that comes from the Himalayas. And that's another way to support our children while supporting your own health. That's all it does. Support the children and your health.
You're welcome to stay around. Dr. T will be happy to answer questions if you have. And let's give applause to Dr. T.
Thank you.